Are you feeling more fulfilled now that you're back to work?
This Friday.
No. I need a vacation.
See the movie that critics are saying is an awesome,
Look at that.
crowd-pleasing, fist-pumping, all-out brawl of a film.
You're right about that.
They're coming after our family. Go fix this.
Oh, my.
Nobody 2. Rated R. Only in theaters Friday.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Half hour being brought to you by Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, Medicare products. Right? We have a multitude of insurance needs. When I had an insurance need, I turned to Purdy. They took care of it. Steve Engel did a great job. And they make sure they do everything they can to save you money. Fully insured, saving you money. It's customer service, means everything to them. At Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury, go to purdyinsurance.com. Joined by the outstanding and great to have him as such a good friend of the show, Dave Spadaro. Dave, how you been?
Hi, Steve. Doing well, thanks. How are you?
Doing well, yeah. I'll start with Landon Dickerson. You have to dodge, whew, what a relief. Like the Dolphins with Chop Robinson appeared to have dodged one today. It looks like he's going to be okay. It looks like the Eagles did the same thing with Landon Dickerson.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles haven't commented on it. All I know is he's out with a knee injury. I know what the reports are. Sounds much more promising than it could have been, and hopefully that's how it will come out. But, Steve, in the rush to judgment that everybody makes, you don't take into account rehab and so forth. So, you take these things on a day-to-day basis and hope for the best, but certainly the initial reports are much more optimistic than I think some of the concerns were initially. I always find it, I ignore my phone when something like that happens because everybody immediately blows up your phone, immediately takes the negative, rushes to judgment for everything. And you got to let these things play out because it's not just about how it looks and it's how it is and how it's going to react and how it's going to be in the big picture. And there are a lot of factors that go into health. So, but for the most part, for sure, it seems to be more optimistic than some would have thought initially. But yeah, but losing him for a long period of time would be a significant blow to the Eagles, no doubt.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm just very, very cautious talking about Penn State injuries because usually I get a pretty good feel from somebody right away about how serious it is. And, of course, the first thing, he's out for the year. Just settle down. Just give it a little time. We'll see. For the Eagles as a defending world champion and like a legitimately great team, has this been as low-key a camp as you can think of for a world champion?
Well, I only have experienced it one other time. So I would say it has been a very matter-of-fact, drama-free off-season and training camp in summer, and I think that's a great thing, right? And so it's been really good. I think a lot of it is that the Eagles have been through this before, and they know how to handle it, and they've handled it very well. And there's certainly a lot of new faces here, and it has been remarkably quiet. And I think that's a good thing, right? There's not a lot of injury drama. There's not a lot of contract drama. We see it around the league, what teams are dealing with, and the Eagles haven't had to deal with any of that, and I think that's a positive.
That's a real positive. Are there any battles you're looking for? And I don't care where the battle, it may be a position battle, it could be a roster spot battle that's intriguing you right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cornerback position is very intriguing. I think the safety position and how they're going to play it and what they're going to do with Cooper DeJean and how they're going to play him, I think that's very intriguing. So I think offensive line, Tyler Steen seems to be settled in very nicely. I think, depth at wide receiver is interesting. I think the edge rotation and depth there is extremely interesting. I look at Tanner McKee, and I'm very interested in Tanner McKee.
Yeah.
I always look at the running back depth, Steve. I mean, the way A.J. Dillon performed the other night was like, wow, this kid still got it. Will Shipley has been really impressive. So, yeah, I'm kind of one of those guys that, like, everything is intriguing to me. I enjoy every part of it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about Tanner McKee anyway. I mean, we know he had a terrific preseason last year. The games, he was terrific. When he got into the one regular season game, he was like, okay. I mean, what do you think of him as a backup quarterback? If something were to happen and it's a game or two, how much confidence do you think everybody has in his ability to hold the fort for a game or two?
Well, so you watch football, Steve, right? Did you watch Tanner play last year, and did you watch him play on Thursday night?
Well, did not watch him play Thursday night at a baseball game, so I just what I read about.
You watched him last year.
Yep.
And you saw a kid who runs the offense, gets the football out, processes quickly, throws accurately, moves better than I think a lot of people thought. I think everybody has every bit of confidence in the world in Tanner McKee. So I feel great about the backup situation. I think Tanner, given an opportunity at some point in his career, will be a very, very good NFL quarterback. So, yeah, I actually feel great about the backup situation. I think that Tanner's an enormously, enormously talented player.
I mean, whenever I've seen him, I just thought, okay, at this stage of his career, if you were to go the entire season, like any backup, I think there'd be an issue. But a game or two, he could hold the fort easily for a game or two.
What issue would there be?
What the issue would be? The issue would be that we get enough tape on him and we know what he can and can't do. That's always the issue with every backup quarterback in the league. You get some tape, you find out what he can do, what he can't do, what he can handle, what he can't handle. When you only have limited stuff, you're guessing in those two games. That's how I view it.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting about that. I think that there's nothing that Tanner can't do. How's that? I think he's
okay. That's fine.
I mean, maybe you want to blitz the heck out of him if you're defense and see how mobile he is. But I think in that instance, he's the kind of kid who just gets rid of the football really fast and carves you up. And with this group around him, I mean, it's built for hot reads and big plays and catch after the run or run after the catches. And, so I think the Eagles are in an incredibly enviable situation at the quarterback position with what Jalen does, with what Tanner does, with Kyle McCord. He's a young, developing quarterback, and a guy in his third year as Tanner. I know he hasn't played a lot. I just think the world of the guy.
Yeah, McCord's interesting because it's interesting. At Ohio State, I thought he was good. I didn't think he was great. I thought he was good. He went to Syracuse last year. It was almost like a breath of fresh air for him. And he had a terrific year. What do the Eagles think of him? I mean, he's not ahead of Tanner McKee by any stretch. But what do the Eagles think of him?
Yeah, enough to draft him and develop him, and coming along. And certainly you see the ups and the downs. You see how he reacts and responds to the bad things that happen. So good arm, real good arm, and processing quickly. He needs to get better at that. Certainly as a young developmental quarterback, I think that's how you look at him. And then you look at the quarterback situation, and Tanner's got 2 more years. I think he's got 1 more year after this year on his contract. And you kind of say, hey, this is the way you build depth in your quarterback room. I
think what the Eagles were doing their dual practices with the Browns, it's no Shedeur Sanders because of he needs an MRI. Are you disappointed you at least didn't get a chance to see him live just to see what he could and couldn't do?
No, don't care.
Yeah, good for you.
Don't care about Shedeur. Yeah, don't. I was, the way they break up the practices, on one field is the Eagles' offense against Cleveland's defense, and on the other field is the Cleveland offense against the Eagles' defense. So I'm not even looking at the Cleveland quarterbacks. I'm just looking at the Eagles' defense when they're playing the Browns offense. Would have loved to have seen him in a game, and I don't know if that sounds like that's going to, knock him out of the game potentially, right? But
yeah,
today,
he's not going to play.
I didn't even know he wasn't taking reps. I didn't even know he wasn't taking reps until late in the practice when kind of words got out that he had suffered an injury. I didn't even realize it. Saw him warm up and then didn't pay attention to him.
You mentioned Cooper DeJean in one of your answers. I mean, look, I think he's a terrific player. So how do they want to use him? They want to use him as a corner. They want to use him as a slot. They want to use him as a safety spot. How do they want to use him?
Yeah, so in Vic's defense, a nickel cornerback and a safety are very, very similar.
Right.
And I think it is clear that in base, which they've only played last year, I think they played 160 snaps in base, Cooper would be a starting safety alongside Reed Blankenship. And that when they go to nickel and dime, Cooper would be in the nickel. So I think that's how they're going to play it. Get him on the field, one of your best 11 players. And I have not seen him take a lot of reps, if any, at outside cornerback. So it looks to me like that's where he's going to be. And the more you can get him on the field, the better things he does. He's a great football player, and I think everybody recognizes that, and he works extremely hard. And he's just a great kid, and he's doing a great job. He's really a talented kid. I mean, it is obvious how good he is.
There are a lot of veterans on this team. I mean, true veterans. How has Nick Sirianni handled camp? Have the veterans taken as many reps as some of the younger players, or has he been judicious with veteran reps because they know what they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, and then playing into that also is coming off the Super Bowl in a long season and making sure that everybody learning your lessons from 23 and, did the Eagles wear down? What happened? So I think it's been a good mix. I think that I really haven't noticed a drop-off with a lot of the veterans. They seem to be in great spirits, great legs, a lot of energy. I mean, the practice today was very physical and high tempo and great stuff. So maybe at times Saquon will take a step back. Again, I think a lot of it matters that there's such depth with A.J. Dillon and Will Shipley. But yeah, I don't see it as a real concerted effort to put guys on the sidelines just to kind of give them a rest. I haven't seen a lot of that at all.
By practicing against somebody else, that gives them more, plus there'll be a game itself. How do you look at a scrimmage session like today versus a preseason game? How do you view it? The same, or are there a couple of things you're looking for out of each?
For sure, both. The out of each. I mean, I think that when you can't tackle to the ground, it's different. And I know that they try to simulate that, but I think it's different. You don't finish the play. So the vets, look, honestly, I just want to get through everything healthy. And but for sure, I think that players love this kind of experience. They know that they are practicing against a team. They are practicing for another coaching staff as well. And it was a great practice. The defenses were both. The Cleveland defense is really good. I mean, Cleveland defense played well today. So, and it's good for somebody like Brett Toth, who's in there taking reps in place of Landon Dickerson, and said after practice that he didn't play as well as he wanted to play. So he'll get another crack at that tomorrow. And then in a game situation, I think there's a difference when the lights are on and when you tackle to the ground and when the plays mean something. And so I take something from both. I think every time you step on the field, it matters. And that's just kind of how I look at things. I really look at it, and every time somebody steps on the field, look, when they're in a walkthrough, you know what's important? Making sure that you line up in your right split and that the personnel, when the coaches call it a new personnel package, watching a walkthrough, the mock game before a game, the day before a game, it's fascinating, all the personnel packages that they use. And if you're a player who doesn't hear his name or forgets his name or a coach that's not organized, it is really glaring. And the Eagles are extremely efficient with that. And again, I think that's one of the reasons they're such a successful franchise.
Yeah, well, people will talk about walkthroughs like, oh, it's a walkthrough. Man, it's just a walkthrough. No, it's about personnel packages. Where do you line up? And you're simulating, for example, depth of a route. right? You're simulating a coverage rotation, but you're just doing it in a walkthrough. But at least it shows you know what you're doing, and that the really good teams understand that. The bad ones don't understand it, and they're sloppy with it.
Yeah, for sure. And apparently, I've only worked for the Eagles, so apparently it happens a lot. Like, the teams just don't do it well, and the Eagles do it well, and it does matter. I mean, the coaches really evaluate that stuff. They want to know that what you are learning in the classroom and what you are being told is being absorbed. And so I think that, it's really, really critical every single minute of the day in an NFL training camp. There's not a lot of time in a camp. I mean, we're already by the end of next week is the end of preseason. So,
yeah.
And they're going to go from 90 to 53, and there's no mercy. So you got to be right. You got to be right on, and that's the pressure that players feel when they are in an NFL camp. And it mounts on you. You cannot have missteps.
Took about a month for Vic Fangio to marry in talent with scheme and then make the calls. I mean, because that's the way the NFL is now. September, there's a lot of feeling out in that month. Vic now is in the second year, and he's an incredible coach to begin with. So how have you felt about Vic in his second year, and how have you felt about a first-year coordinator on the offensive side?
I'll tackle Kevin Petullo first. Really love his personality, his comfort addressing the entire room. He's been with Nick the entire time in Philadelphia. He knows the personnel. I don't anticipate huge changes with the offense, but there will be some personality and some tweaks that are made, and understanding that NFL defensive coordinators have spent the entire offseason trying to, figure out the right way to attack the Eagles' offense. So we'll see how Kevin adjusts. I think really where you look for a coordinator is how they structure the play calls and how they set up play calls. And it could be a play that they call in week 2 that they set up for a play in week 4. You know what I mean? They want to see a certain look on the defense and then expect a reaction from the defense based on what the defense saw in week 2 and then do something else in week 4. As far as Vic goes, the way he has been able to understand each player's strength and play to that player's strengths, and to meld that into his scheme and take a defense that has so many new pieces, as it did last year. I mean, honestly, I got to tell you, Steve, I think this defense is just lights out right now. So fast. They are so fast to the ball. They are relentless up front. They are just overwhelming interiorly. On the edge, they're really good with Hunt and with Smith, and we'll see who develops after that. So I just think the world of Vic. I've learned so much watching him and the way he's taken young talent and made it all work.
Yeah, and offense, I always refer to the play calling as sequencing. How do I sequence my play calls?
Yeah.
And I think that to me is fascinating. And sometimes you set up something. You mentioned maybe a couple games down the road, but maybe you're setting something up in the third quarter of a game by doing a couple things in the first and second quarter. I mean, that's the sequencing that I think of. What do you think of the tight ends?
I think that Dallas looks great and Calcaterra is solid.
Yeah.
I don't know who's number 3 yet. So we're going to find out. We're going to find out. But for sure, it is a question, the depth there. They've got some players who have been in NFL camps before, and so we'll see. I mean, but I love the way Goddard has been used. I love the way Calcaterra has come along. I think it's really important that people understand that the blocking is so vital.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to win in line at the line of scrimmage. But as long as Dallas Goedert stays healthy, the Eagles are going to be fine at tight end. Steve, as long as his team stays healthy, my gosh, the Eagles are going to be really hard to beat.
Yeah, really, that's the whole thing with this team. They are easily the best team, in my opinion, in the NFL when they're healthy. And then the part is with a 17-game season in 18 weeks, that's the variable. I mean, just nobody knows how many late season games, Dave, have you and I watched on Sunday night or Monday Night Football. You and I are like, okay, where did that quarterback go to school?
Yeah, exactly. And so yes, but I think there's depth here, and I think that they do a really good job of working in developmental periods after practice, 10, 15 minutes, where some of the lower end of the roster players are on the field. And I just think that they understand how to bring along young talent.
Yeah,
and they understand that it's a long, long season, man. And what we see in the preseason and the games and the play calling, it is going to be a lot different when the season begins.
No question. No question. Dave, it's always a pleasure. Really enjoyed, and the audience eats up all the information. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve, so much for having me. Have a great day.
Yeah, the outstanding Dave Spadaro. What a great job he does. This half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, light, business, boat, motorcycle, RV, Medicare products. Customer service means everything to them at Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. On News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.
What's better than 0% financing on a new car? 0% plus additional discounts on a new car from Sunbury Motors Hyundai. Be a hero with zero. There's 0% APR financing for up to 60 months plus an additional $2,250 SMC discount on 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe SELs. There's also 0% APR financing for up to 60 months plus an additional $2,500 SMC discount on 2025 Hyundai Palisade Calligraphies. Sunbury Motors Hyundai has 3.99% APR financing for 72 months, plus an additional $1,500 SMC discount on 2025 Hyundai Tucsons. Remember, all new Hyundais come with Hyundai Assurance and are backed by America's best warranty. 10 years, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. What's better than 0% financing? 0 plus SMC discounts. Save thousands now, only at Sunbury Motors Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury.